I love Pokemon, and I especially love seeing the new gym leaders in Elite Four every new game. These characters fascinate me not only because they provide perhaps the most in terms of world building and lore for the Pokemon universe, but also because they look so interesting and diverse. No two gym leaders are exactly the same, and I love all of them, even the boring ones. And so what I'm doing is I'm going through each generation and ranking these trainers' designs from worst to best, because I think that sounds fun. I've already done a video like this for Kanto, which means we're jumping into Johto now. A couple of things to keep in mind as to how I'm ranking these designs are as follows. First, I'm looking at how well a leader represents their preferred typing. Unless misdirecting the player as to what type of Pokemon they use is the point, then I think the stronger designs are the ones that play into the element of the gym they lead. I don't want a fire-type gym leader who looks like they'd extinguish all the flames, you know? Second, I want to be able to get some sort of character out of these designs. The characterization can be pretty limited in Pokemon, but whatever is there I'd like to be able to see by looking at the character in question. That way we get to interpret more than just, I like to swim and fish from every water-type trainer. And third, just pure aesthetic. If you look like a loser, you're getting docked points. And with that, let's skip the dilly-dallying and get to the list already.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 13. Karen. I realize this is a pretty controversial take, and I'll be honest, I really didn't expect Karen to be so low on the list when I first started making the video. It's no secret that Karen's a pretty popular character, just because she's hot, and that's okay. If you've got a crush on Karen, that's alright, no one's trying to stop you. But I also can't let that stop me from being honest here. I fucking hate Karen's design. She uses Dark-type Pokemon.
Betweer.
This is one of the least Dark-type looking designs I've ever seen. I think the idea with her belt was to emulate the circles on Umbreon, but then why make her pants white? If her pants were black, she'd be higher on the list. Such a simple change could improve this look so much. I haven't even mentioned her hair yet, and how that also looks awful. This blue is clashing with the yellow and white. It's not cohesive, she's just 3 blocks of colors stacked on top of each other. Everything's a similar shade range as well. She's the most washed out looking character on this list, and she's supposed to be the dark type user? Making her hair black or even just darker blue would have helped too, but for some reason the decision was just to make her pallid in every way. Her original gold and silver sprite reads, to me at least, like she's got white hair and a short black dress, and I think that would have been way better. I'm not even getting any character from her beyond vaguely haughty. She apparently likes dark-type Pokemon because of the tough and wild image they portray. So why doesn't she actually match that description? Don't get me wrong, she is pretty and can be quite a tough challenge during gameplay too, but that doesn't save her from having one of the worst designs in Johto.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 12. Bruno. I've already talked about my thoughts on Bruno in my Kanto ranking video, and I'd like to not repeat myself too much here, which is tough, because Bruno basically looks exactly the same in every game he's in. He's a step up from Karen since he does actually convey his fighting-type Pokemon theme, but he falls so short when it comes to character or fashion. Bruno doesn't really have a character to portray. He's a martial arts master and that's it. No hidden depths or fun quirks to work with. He is the living embodiment of the concept of fighting-type trainer, having just as much of a character as the countless martial artists you can find across the games. The ponytail and thick bracers are neat, but still nothing that special, especially for the time when his games were originally released. Anyone who's seen a character from Dragon Ball has basically seen everything Bruno has to offer. It doesn't look bad, but I do still wish Bruno got to be more. I mentioned last time that I'd love for him to cameo in a game with a new outfit like how Grimsley had, and that's still true. I want to like Bruno more than I do. Game Freak just has to give me a good reason to first.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 11. Chuck. Hopefully my list doesn't give off the impression that I just don't like fighting-type Pokemon or their leaders. Fighting is actually one of my favorite types in the game, and I think some of the fighting leaders do look real cool. Unfortunately for these earlier games, they only really seem to have one idea for them. Man with gi, but it's only pants. Right off the bat, Chuck is more visually interesting than Bruno. With his big smile, pot belly, and quite extreme mustache, Chuck conveys so much more than his elite counterpart. Chuck strikes me as a man a little past his prime. Still a great fighter, but not as on top of his training as he should be. A concept that Chuck's wife actually confirms in the game. I also gotta say that Chuck's gi looks more interesting than Bruno's just because it's got a color. If Bruno was wearing these brick red pants, he'd be more interesting to look at too. I mean, like, it's not that interesting of an outfit, but it's more than Bruno's got. He still obviously uses fighting-type Pokemon, but he's also given so much more character, too. Similar to Bruno, I'd like to see Chuck get to do more. He seems to get forgotten a lot, probably since Johto ends up with 2 fighting trainers. But Bruno's an elite and a returning character, and so is more memorable. I mean, hell, he's the only Johto gym leader that's not in Pokemon Masters EX so far. While he's not the most noteworthy in terms of design, I think Chuck is an interesting character and would love to see him show up more.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 10. Price. Price is fine. On a technical standpoint, he does well with the different categories I've looked at to make this list. His primarily blue and white palette perfectly conveys his ice type, especially with the coat and scarf. He's a well-dressed older fellow, looking nice, if a bit more subdued than some of his counterparts, and with one of his primary character traits just being, he's been doing this for a long time. Well, yeah, he looks old. Price is fine. But fine doesn't really mean great, now does it? He's well dressed, but his outfit's not particularly stimulating. Price is just an old man. No funny gimmicks, no interesting subversions. He's just an old guy. Well, there is one interesting element to him. Price trains by meditating under a waterfall. And I am getting none of that here. That's such a neat character trait, and is really the only thing I ever remember about Price from the anime too. But you'd never guess that the in-game version also trains this way by looking at him. I suppose that is a tough thing to convey without, like, making Price take off his shirt to reveal that he's ripped under there or something, but basically it all boils down to Price being just kind of boring to look at. He's a cool character, but in terms of design, he's just nothing special. Though I will say that while an old fella wearing a coat isn't that impressive, it's certainly better than his original sprite that sees him wearing just a t-shirt.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 9. Jasmine. Jasmine fascinates me, because she's the first gym leader we've seen who has discussed changing her preferred typing. She used to be a rock-type gym, but with the discovery of the steel type, changed over to that. That's so cool! And that's what makes putting her so low on this list hurt so much. She doesn't look like a steel-type leader. Hell, she doesn't even look like a rock-type leader. She just looks like a moderately well-off girl. Like, she's adorable, I love her look, the dress and big bow in the front are so cute, and her big pigtails are iconic. Jasmine doesn't hit every box as well as Price does, but she's a much more standout character with her design. No one else looks like Jasmine. You can immediately recognize her. But where's the steel? I suppose that this light blue coloring on her dress is sort of steel colored, but if you weren't told beforehand what her type was, I doubt anyone would jump to steel as their first guess. She also seems awfully soft for her title to be the steel-clad defense girl. I realize that the title is referring to her Pokemon's defense, not hers, but I don't know, she definitely gives off the vibe of something like a rare gemstone more than a steel wall. However, I also can't deny how much I love the fact that Jasmine doesn't fit the steel aesthetic. These tough-as-nails Pokemon belonging to a cute girl is classic, and I love it. She's technically low scoring, but that doesn't stop how much I actually do like the design. I think I would have felt more justified in pushing her up in this list if she actually resembled Ampharos more, arguably her most iconic Pokemon. But alas, she must stay here at number 9.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 8. Faulkner. Faulkner is the elegant master of flying-type Pokemon. He does seem elegant for sure, often appearing cool, calm, and collected. He's one good song away from becoming a teen idol. And that flying typing isn't getting lost either. One could argue that his primarily blue color palette makes him look too much like a water or ice-type trainer, but I find that the Hyorean shorts look airy and light enough that he avoids that problem. His hair has also always looked a bit like a bird's beak to me as well, which I think is helping. Faulkner's interesting in that his gameplay is actually packed with characterization. He's inherited his gym from his father and is trying to follow in his footsteps, and that gets represented with how Faulkner has the lowest level Pokemon of any gym leader, not just in Johto. He does look young too, clearly a teen and barely seeming older than the player character or their rival. Though I will say that Flannery ends up doing this concept far better, just by virtue of being allowed to have more than 2 sentences worth of dialogue. Faulkner's traditionally styled clothing looks pretty cool too, giving him a unique look from the others and having these tasty pops of red throughout it. I couldn't figure out if there was any special reason they designed him this way though. If you know about why Faulkner would be designed like this, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to learn. But yeah, Faulkner may not be a particularly strong trainer, but he certainly stands out from the crowd.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 7. Lance. You know, it's funny, because Lance is technically scoring lower on this list than he did in the Kanto ranking, despite me finding this look to be significantly better than his previous one. I guess the Johto designs are just harder to beat than Kanto's. I've basically already gone over why I like this version of Lance's design so much in the last video. The cape, spiked hair, and deep blue coloring makes his dragon typing obvious, and his fun pop of orange across his jumpsuit adds some welcome visual interest without looking too complicated or nonsensical. His confident stances simultaneously make him look stoic, while also hinting at his tendency to just have his Dragonite Hyper Beam everything. Like, look at this. He is saying, use Hyper Beam in this image, and there's nothing that could convince me otherwise. I feel that this version of Lance conveys a lot more of his character than his last look did, which is nice. There's not much else to say about Lance that I haven't already said, honestly. He's doing a good job, but just not the best. He lands squarely on the halfway point, not because he's lacking in any major way, but because the designs to come, rather, excel. I guess the last thing I'd like to mention is just, I want to point out how dumb Lance looked in his gold and silver sprite. He looks like a wannabe Batman. What an adorable loser.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 6. Morty. Morty's really interesting to me because he's seen some of the most extreme changes across his different iterations. His original sprite is just a dude with a headband, and then the anime and manga decided to put him in blue and yellow for no good reason. While weird surfer variant Morty may be the more recognizable design for those who grew up with the anime, I feel his new Heart Gold Soul Silver look is by far the best he's gotten. He's the most modern looking gym leader of Johto, fitting right in with other newer gym leaders. They've ditched the Dumbo blue and yellow to instead put him in the much more ghostly black and white with a hint of purple. The yellow hair and little ghost pin he's got also add a nice pop of contrast, coexisting with the rest of the palette by adding a splash of a different color and tone, basically nailing everything that Karen got wrong. Unfortunately, Morty doesn't have much going on in terms of characterization. He's a future seer, and I don't think we ever actually see him tell the future, and he's interested in legendary Pokemon. That's not a lot, but I'm at least grateful that they didn't do the same thing they'd done with fighting and just make him another scary old person like Agatha. Though, it does bother me that he doesn't use a Misdreavus. It's the only Ghost-type Pokemon introduced in Johto. Agatha already had a Gengar, and trust me, Morty is far from the only Ghost-type trainer that has me upset about this exact problem. Just stop giving them all Gengars. Putting all that aside though, Morty's definitely gotten the best glow-up between the game versions.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 5. Bugsy. Bugsy is the walking bug Pokemon encyclopedia. He's a smart little bug catcher, and you know what? He's nailing that aesthetic. Bugsy's always stood out to me. Perhaps it's because he's one of the youngest gym leaders, younger than even the player character. Or perhaps it's because he was one of the first to have a clear job beyond just leading his gym. He researches bugs, and his park ranger-esque uniform makes that obvious. In a world where most of his peers are just people wearing normal clothes, Bugsy gets to stand alongside the likes of Blaine in terms of incorporating their role as a leader into the rest of their interests. I should also mention that the coloring and style of his outfit makes his preferred typing clear from the moment you see him. You don't even need to be familiar with the tropes of Pokemon to guess that he's gonna throw a bug at you. A part of me thinks his purple hair looks stupid, standing out a lot from his primarily green attire, but then another part of me thinks it's great and really helps him to stand out and adds a good accent color to him. I really don't think his design would be as visually stimulating if he had green, yellow, or brown hair. I think the purple was the right choice. Bugsy may be a bit of a pushover when it comes to beating his gym, but he's also definitely not one you're gonna forget anytime soon.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 4. Koga. Koga gets his redemption! Last time, my biggest problem with Koga had been how, due to his coloring, he looked more like a fire-type trainer than a poison-typed one. But here in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, he's got purple on him, and it fixes everything! I won't bore you by repeating everything I've already said about Koga previously. He looks great, the ninja getup is stellar, he emits so much character. Quite frankly, Koga gets full marks on my scoring system. The reason why I haven't placed Koga higher on the list, though, is that while his typing and character are clear and his fashion's on point, he's not as interesting as some of the others. He's just a ninja. He's doing ninja well, but his design doesn't intrigue me like how others on the list do. And I want to make it clear that I do think Koga is a strong design, but just due to his simple execution, he can easily be forgotten. However, I would also like to point out a few small things that I really liked about his design, like how they have him graying at the temples now, showing the passage of time in a really cool way, and how the fact that he seems even more protected with these fancy leg bracers, which imply that he is still totally assassinating people as a ninja.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 3. Whitney. Whitney absolutely oozes personality. The cute outfit and hair, the way she holds herself, all of it. Her spunky, preppy attitude with an affinity for cute things is clear as day. In a world where so many early Pokemon gym leaders feel like just another person to fight, Whitney really makes a mark on this world and has so much more dimension. She looks so cute. She's got that classic Pokemon shirt with some stripes thing going on that the old designs used to have all the time. I love the hair, and these knee socks are so fun. Though I do sort of wish she had some blue elsewhere in the outfit too, just so that it wasn't only on her legs like this. Maybe make the hair clip blue? Regardless of that though, her color palette is pretty unconventional, but totally still works. The only real downside isn't even really her fault. So back when she was first introduced, her being a normal type gym leader made sense. Lots of normal type Pokemon were pink, and the white of her shirt helped to push that idea along. She evokes the same vibe as things like Clefairy, which did used to be normal. But now that the fairy type is a thing, Whitney definitely reads more like a fairy type leader. And you know, I think it'd be cool to have her switch over. The cute fairy Pokemon seem totally up her alley. But despite that small stumbling block, Whitney's design is just so iconic. I love it.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 2. Will. Will is so interesting. A literal magician, complete with a mask and cravat. He's perhaps the most obviously dressed for a psychic-type trainer, but it so works. The primarily pink and black suit looks amazing, and makes me think that I should use these colors together more often. And just continues to push the psychic typing, since this fuchsia color has been attributed to the type in the Pokemon world, and I really don't think I need to explain how good he looks. A fancy suit that all perfectly matches, including his hair color. No one else looks like Will. Well, except for Lucian, another Psychic Elite Four member in Sinnoh. Fun fact, Lucian and Will actually share so many similarities, not only in their appearance, but also with their Pokemon and how they fight, that many people think that they're either related, or that they may even be the same person. Which I think is fun, if probably not really canon. What's more likely to have happened is that Will actually just is one of the foundational pillars of what a psychic trainer looks like, and Lucian's design is instead just ganking off of the tropes Will establishes. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I do think it's a testament to how iconic Will's design is, despite him tending to feel a bit forgotten within the Indigo League. Well, in this household, we appreciate Will.
Who's that Pokemon?
Number 1. Claire. Claire looks amazing. This color palette, perfect. These weird futuristic space boots and gloves, iconically Pokemon. That cape, dramatic and elegant. I love how her ponytail and necklace evokes Dragonair. I love the lines down her leotard resembling scales on a dragon, which now that I think about it was probably also the goal with Lance's outfit. But I think it's a lot more successful here. Claire oozes pure dragon aesthetic without ending up looking like a dork, and it's funny because multiple characters in Heart Gold and Soul Silver actually make fun of Claire's outfit. Personally, I think she looks amazing, and the fact that so many characters have opinions on her look is just a testament to how much character they put into it. Similar to her cousin, the outrageous cape and boots evokes so much personality. Claire is loud and not afraid to show it. Claire really stands out not only in Johto, but across the series. She's perhaps the most 90s anime looking character to come out of Pokemon, and I think that makes her leave quite the impact on the player. I'm glad they figured out this sleek, cool design, because her outfit for the manga was so bad. This would have put her below price if she still looked like this. Claire being number 1 is a no-brainer for me. She's got the best ensemble, the most interesting representation of her dragon typing, she conveys so much character, I think she absolutely deserves to be this high on the list. And there we have it, Johto, from worst to best. To sort of help break down the list for you, we have the cool ones, the good ones, the boring ones, and Karen. But of course, this is just my opinion. You may think that Claire looks like she doesn't belong in this world and that Karen's the hottest girl in town. That's totally okay. Feel free to tell me who you think looks best from Johto. Even with the less than great designs, the world of Pokemon and the characters we get to meet in it still fills me with so much excitement and joy. I love delving into these ranking videos, even with Karen.